how to do your vaporwave poster from beginning to end. I know that there were different tutorials throughout, but this one's going to show you how to clip out the image, or at least like how to take the image that you clipped out, turn it into that statuesque type of inversed image, how to put it into Illustrator, and everything in between. All right, so let's start. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to open up Adobe Photoshop. You can see this is the photo that I originally used. I did use the Polygon and Lasso tool, just like you guys did. I clicked a little bit on the inside, just so that way if I was clipping something, I didn't get a little bit of the background. I'm doing this very quickly. I know there's a separate tutorial for it, so I'm not even zooming in to do it very well detailed. But once I went all the way around and I got to the neck part, I didn't just do a straight line. I kind of went with the contour of the neck itself to make it look as if it was a severed head. After that, you click right here on the Japan flag in the bottom right hand corner, and it gives you a mask. Now, there are ways of actually like refining that. Remember, you hold Control and you click on the mask itself, hit select and mask. And I use this for the beard specifically, because I know that that's something that for me it would have a little bit more detail. So I click on the Refine Edge tool right there. Again, I'm breezing through the part that has more of the tutorials that you guys already did, but I'm just showing you those parts. All right, then you hit OK, and it's done. Right. So at the end, I ended up with something like this. Now, it didn't look exactly like that. It looked like this without these things on it, right? So once it was clipped out, I added a hue and saturation, which if you click on the half and half cookie right here, hue and saturation, and what that did, it changed the color. And actually before that, I clicked on my image and I do Command I. Command I inverses the colors and the contrast, so you can see in there like the things that were dark are now light. Like my beard was the darkest part in there, now it's light, and it inverses the colors as well. All right, the half and half cookie right here, to get a hue and saturation, you could change the color to whatever you want. You could change the saturation, the brightness or lightness. I did a little bit of brightness and contrast. It doesn't do much. And then this part right here, a shadow. The way to do a shadow, I'll delete this one just to show you. Once you have your clipping, which is right here, your mask, you just hold Command and you click on the mask. It gives you the marching ants. Basically, whatever's selected on there, by holding Command and clicking on it, it's going to create a duplicate of that with the marching ants. So I'm going to click to create a new layer, put that underneath everything, right over here, and then I'm going to fill it in with black. Edit, fill, and instead of, usually it's content aware up here, but just put black, hit OK. You could change this to be multiply, the opacity, sometimes I just do 50, and now that's a shadow that's on there, but I have to move it. So with the move tool, I can move that over. I can move this down. I'm going to do Command D to get rid of the marching ants. And then I'm just going to blur it because it's an exact copy of my cutout. And I want it to be blurry, just like a background. It's like a shadow. So filter, blur, then Gaussian blur. You can play around with the different tolerances here, but I think that's okay. And then I hit save. I go to File, Save, or if you've already saved it before, Command S, Save As, save onto your computer, and just make sure that it stays at the .psd. You could change it to be whatever you want it to be named, right? Andres head, keep it there, keep the .psd, hit save, and then you're good. I hit cancel just because I've already saved it. So now you go into Illustrator, and of course, because I just changed it, it's asking me to update. But when you go into Illustrator, you want to put this into the same document that you created your gradients in. If you want to create a new one, that's fine. That's what I'm going to do. But I would do it on the one that you created your gradient, because that way it's going to make it a little bit easier for you. You already have your gradients there. So for me, I'm going to go to File, New. My file is going to be 13 inches. That's inches right there, by 19 inches high. I hit Create. And then you're creating your gradients on here. Again, there's tutorials for each one of the different gradients that we created, but I'm creating a rectangle with the fourth tool, actually the fifth tool on the left. So click and drag. And now my fill color is white. I want it to be a gradient, so I'm gonna click on my gradient. I'm gonna click right here. And this is just a linear gradient, but if I click, actually hold up. Before I do anything else, I realize maybe I haven't shown you guys this part from the beginning. If you click on Window, Workspace, make sure that you're in Essentials Classic so that you see everything exactly how I see it. I'm going to reset mine just to make sure that we all see it the same way. Again, the fifth tool on the left, I clicked and dragged to create the rectangle, and then I click on the gradient tool right here. This is a linear gradient. If I click right here on this gradient section, it gives me a lot more options. I could do a linear, a radial, or I could do this one, which is the one I'm going to stick to right now. It's the freeform one. Now with the freeform one, I could change any of these colors, right? I could double click and say maybe this one I want yellow, and double click here, maybe this one I want green, and maybe this one I want blue. The other thing you could do, you could move them, and you can make them bigger as well. So if I click and bring this down, I can make it bigger, I can move it to be closer to others. I can even create a new one by clicking where there is no other circle. This one I might want red, just whatever colors you want, you could put them in there. All right, I'm just gonna move things around so that I get the kind of gradient I want. Let's see, this, sure. And sure. It looks a little bit crazy, but there it is. Now you want to place your image. So I go to File, Place, and I know that I saved this onto the desktop, so here it is. Hit Place. What that does, it loads up your cursor, click, and there it is. If you hold Shift and pull the corner, you can make it as big or as small as you want. Now the next part is adding the text. If you look at the one that I did before, I added a variety of text. I put my last name, I put some of the stuff that I do, graphic design, I'm an educator, right? I put today's date and something that looks more like a barcode type of thing. I added this whole body of text right here. All of these things are things that when you're designing your text around your image and your gradient, you want to think about. I even included shapes. You can see that geometric shape on the background, these rectangles right here. And a lot of these things are really up to you and your style and the design that you want to go with. I'll show you a few of these things. Like for example, the pattern that's back here. I know that's something that people have asked questions about. So let's say I was going to create a shape, a rectangle, fifth tool on the left again. I'm going to click and drag. And I didn't just want it to be filled in with white. So I go to Window, click on Swatches, and you see color swatches here, but obviously you want something else. You want a pattern or something else. So if I click on these three lines on the top right-hand corner, I could click Open Swatch Library, and then I could scroll down to, where is it, Patterns. Then basic graphics, you have dots, you have lines, you have textures. I'm going to click on dots, and there they are. A variety of different dots, different patterns. If I wanted those lines, same thing, right? Click over here. No, sorry. Click over here. Open swatch, pattern, and I could do lines. Yeah, some of these are not as good as, I guess, the dots in my opinion, but I'll stick to the dots. There it is. You could change the shape of it. Like for example, I think on the other one I did this. I clicked, brought this down, clicked and brought this down, or bring it up. You could also put things in front or behind. If you select the image, object, arrange, bring to the front. The other thing you could do is select it, and if you hold Command and the brackets next to the letter P on your keyboard, they could either go up or down. The bracket to the left brings it down. The bracket to the right brings it up. And again, text and everything else that you wanted to put in here. G-O and Z A-L-E-Z. When it comes to the text, you want to stick to at least these 3 different fonts. And the reason for them is because they kind of go with the style of Vaporwave. I know that there's a million other fonts that you can use, but this one lends itself to it. It's very simple. It's very stylized. I'm sorry, it's very simple and very modern. For example, Helvetica. Now, there's Helvetica Light, Oblique, Bold, and all these other different ones. Definitely use all the different ones that you can, just to show contrast. So Helvetica is one, Arial is another, and then the last one I would use is Futura. Right? And again, they all have different styles, medium, bold. You could change any of the things by clicking character, things like the size of the font, the leading, which is the space between 2 lines. You could change the kerning, which is the space between 2 different letters, or the tracking, which is probably what you'll do more, and that's the space between all of the actual letters in that section. So play around with it, play around with the different colors. You could eyedrop and create something that, well, maybe you can't eyedrop in there, but yeah, you could change the colors to what you want, design your text how you want, add shapes, add gradients, add multiple gradients, and then finally design it how you want. All right. Make sure that it has the gradient, the images, the text, and that it all works together as a final poster. That's it.